And we're here with George Costanza, who played the sheriff famously in Night of the Living Dead. How are you, sir?
Fine. I was also the production manager.
Yeah, we were going to talk about that because we talked earlier how everyone in the production seemed to have a double role. Could you tell us a bit about how you became production manager?
In 1960, Russell Streiner and George Romero formed a commercial production house called the Latent Image Studios. We all worked there in a variety of capacities. One day would be acting in a commercial, the next day would be lighting a set. And over the years, we eventually would get paid every once in a while. And we finally accumulated enough money to buy a 35 millimeter camera, and by then we had developed our skill levels to a point where we could be relied on. So we said, we have the people, we know what needs to be done, we know how to do it, and at last we have the equipment. Let's make a movie. So the first one we did was Night of the Living Dead.
Playing the sheriff, was that a role you chose, or was that something like, we need a sheriff? Why doesn't it be you, George? Is that kind of how it happened?
And there was an individual named Richard Ritchie.
Okay.
And we were talking, and he turned around and he said, he looks like a cop. They said, you're the sheriff. Okay, I'm the sheriff.
What about, because you were working with George and your team for so long, and when it came time to make this film and you heard the idea, what was your first thought about when you saw this thing?
Let's do it. There was never a degree of hesitation. I was enthusiastic about it from the first hint of possibly doing it. And if we need money, I'll put money in. If whatever we need, whatever it takes, let's get it done. Many people don't know it, but we were short of money. The reason it was made in black and white was not a creative decision, it was a financial one. We didn't have enough money to do it in color.
When you think about, 40 years later, sitting here in Toronto, still talking about Night of the Living Dead, did you ever think that was a possibility at all?
Well, I'm grateful that it is. And you have to remember, we made a movie. The fans who went to see that movie made that movie the success that it is. We owe them. They do not owe us. And I'm eternally grateful to all of them.
From Night of the Living Dead, we're talking to John Russo, and you co-wrote the movie with George Romero, is that right?
Right. George Romero and I wrote the screenplay.
Yep. And everyone doubled up on roles in the film, so you also had a small acting part, right?
I had 3 acting parts, if you want to call it acting. I was the zombie that got the tire iron in the head, and I was the zombie that did the Molotov cocktail stunt. I got set on fire without benefit of asbestos suit, and I was also the general's driver in the Washington, D.C. scene. And Russ Streiner shot that scene because George Romero played a reporter in that scene. So I also shot a lot of the 16 millimeter stuff that was on the television. So
yeah, and they have stunt guys to set people on fire now, right?
Well, they always had stunt guys, but George and I were up late at night, and we knew we were going to shoot that sequence the next night. And I said, we've already said that these things are dead and they go up pretty easy when they're burned, and if we're going to throw all these Molotov cocktails and if none of them catch on fire, we're going to look stupid. Oh hell, we don't have an asbestos suit, we can't afford a stunt man. I thought about it for a while. Oh hell, I'll do it. So I just put on tight Levi's jacket and jeans and grabbed a Goodwill brown suit, a couple sizes too big, from the pile of zombie costumes we had. Put the brown suit on over the Levi's. I thought, well, the Levi's should give some protection. Then we had people waiting over the hill, and Carl Hardman made a puddle of gasoline around me, and George, we got the shot set up, and I had to still stand in the puddle, and then he made a path of gasoline up my leg and back. so that when on action Carl threw a match into the puddle, which the flames raced up my legs and back, and I had to stagger like a zombie till I could feel my hair being singed, and then I rolled over the hill where Heinzman and some other people were waiting with blankets to snuff out the flames. And we got 3 takes, and everybody was sitting around. It looked great.
3 takes?
We did 3 takes, and a couple of those takes at least are used because there's a couple different angles on me doing that.
Wow.
And everybody had these gleeful looks on their face, even though I could have been incinerated. But we were getting great stuff for this low-budget movie, and that's what counted. So,
well, you were talking about your movie making program with Russ, and how did that idea get started?
what I was driving at was that we've over 40 plus years we've done just about everything, every kind of film, and we're also the people that run the Night of the Living Dead company, and we're the trustees. We make the deals, we do negotiations, we know legal work, we know not just movie making, but all the other stuff, marketing, merchandising, etc. And I've been involved with 20 feature films, either as writer, producer, director, or all 3, or some combination. And I've got 20 novels published worldwide, plus the 3 movie making books. And so that's a lot of credit. A lot of credits that we can teach these people, and they do learn. They're doing great work. It's at Du Bois Business College, Du Bois, Pennsylvania, dbcollege.com. John Russo movie making.
And what are some of the things you try to teach? I mean, obviously, besides the fundamentals of filmmaking and the technical aspects, but in terms of the craft and how you hone your craft, what is some of those lessons you try and leave your students with?
So what makes the difference between a professional piece of work that can entertain people and can actually sell and make some money and start or continue a career, and a thing that's amateurish and can't sell? So we teach them the blocking, screen direction, pacing, all the things that a writer and filmmaker need to know to give a film the kind of movement and interest that it needs.
We're talking about fans, strange fans who you might encounter at these conventions. Do you have a strange fan story?
You know, everybody thinks that if you like horror films and you walk around in zombie makeup or ears pierced or navels pierced or whatever, that you're some kind of, or tattoos, that you're some kind of freak. But what we find is that the people they're just people that have a passion about the movies and the horror stuff, and I think it's great to have a passion about something. And people that don't have a passion about anything in life, why in the hell are they living? You know, they're only going to get to do this once. Except me, I'm coming back.
As a zombie, right?
No.